Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm back down here at Swift Performance for the next stage of my M2 comp rebuild. I did talk about getting the M2 dry ice cleaned, and that's exactly what we're doing today. So let's head in there and have a quick look at the first stage. Obviously he could spend days on the car doing wheel arches, suspension and everything, but today we're going to focus on essentially the engine bay area because the engine is currently out of the chassis, as you know. The first stage of the dry ice is complete. We're now going to talk to Gary and get some kind of understanding as to what it's all about.
So yeah, my name's Gary. I'm from Pro Detailing UK and from Dry Ice Detailing.
Yep.
So a relatively new business that we started up, but the main focus on this side of things is dry ice cleaning, dry ice blasting. It's all the same thing. There's a few different terminologies flying around Tinternet of different names, but essentially you are cleaning those areas with dry ice. Dry ice blasting cleaning is 100% non-abrasive.
Yep.
So the idea is with sandblasting, you're trying to take off surface, etc. But with the dry ice cleaning, you are literally removing the dirt off the surface.
Okay.
So being non-abrasive, you can go over those plastics, metals, trim works, etc. and it freezes the surface dirt,
Yep.
which expands, and with the air, as it hits the surface, it blasts the dirt off.
Okay.
So you're not removing rust, oxidization, etc., but you are removing dirt which is built up on plastic trims, so or metal work, suspension, arches, underbodies, but you can also remove the wax oils. And being the fact that it's 100% non-abrasive, there's no chemicals, there's no water, there's no agitation. Also, you can get into areas that you wouldn't really ordinarily reach with the detailing side of things. You don't have all that worry about moisture and water,
Yep.
etc. So you can go over electric sort of items and components.
You need to know exactly when you're doing specific jobs because the dry ice, well, it is ice, isn't it, essentially? So it's got a shelf life.
Yeah, that frozen CO2, so it doesn't melt into a water like an ice.
Yep.
It will dissipate in a gas and disappear. So yes, you buy this expensive ice and within 3 days or so, if you've not used it, you'll open your box and you have an empty
Little bit of gas if
polystyrene
you're
box.
lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. We can organise it for next day delivery. So the idea is the following day when we're doing the job, the fresher the ice, the harder the ice. It's good for those underbodies, engine bays, floor pans, wheel arches, because the ice is hard.
Yep.
It's got sharp edges. It's good at breaking it down.
Penetrating.
Once it's sort of 3 days old or so, the ice will soften down a little bit, it rounds off the edges,
Yep.
so it's a little bit nicer to use on fabrics.
In terms of your socials, well, I'll put them all in the description below and contact details, etc. We'll wheel it around because we're going to do the next bit, the engine bay essentially, outside. You join me a couple of hours later and I can't stress or tell you how good my engine bay looks now. Yes, it doesn't have an engine in it yet, which is very important, but it's definitely ready for that engine and gearbox to go back in. Gary has literally gone over everything and it looks night and day better. When we started inside, it was difficult to capture the first bit of the video because the light in there is not as good as the light out here. And also when we're working underneath, there was a lot of corrosion and not rust, but hardcore corrosion, which dry ice can only clean up. But when you really start to see the difference and what it can do is underneath the actual bonnet of the car. Everything, the plastics, the metalwork, all the connectors, even the top of the headlights here, the bonnet, everything that had grime and wax and dirt and dust and you name it, it's gone. And it looks so nice. I'd be confident to eat my dinner off any part in that engine bay. Maybe not the brake fluid reservoir, because that stuff's not too good to swallow. And it's really exciting because in a couple of days' time, the engine and the gearbox will be going back in, and I'm glad that the engine and the gearbox are going into an engine bay that is definitely cleaner than it was when this car left the factory. So huge thanks to Gary educating me as to what dry ice is all about and how it works. Experiencing it and watching it, my ears are still ringing because of the generator and the high pressure hose, and that's why he wears all his PPE. But it was really, really interesting to see it, especially on my own car, and to see the difference. Now the engine bay is a lot cleaner than the outside of the car, which is really grubby, and that will be getting cleaned at some point soon when the car is ready to roll. Before I say goodbye, let's just have a quick look around the engine bay before the heavens open, because it is about to rain and I want to get this bonnet closed and the car back inside. So as you can see, it's just completely immaculate and spotless. And in fact, the only bits that haven't come up like new are, let's say, that steering column motor down there. You can see that it has some corrosion on it, which can't be removed, but at the same time, it's a lot cleaner than it was when we started this morning. But everything else, the subframe just looks amazing. All of this metalwork, the shielding, the top mounts, and this is where it gets really interesting. Around the back here, all of the ABS unit over here just looks so clean. All of the guttering that was just brown earlier on with leaves and all sorts of grime in there, clean as you like. And everywhere you look, it is just beautiful. Really, really, really beautiful. So yeah, it's a lovely peace of mind knowing that everything in here is cleaner than ever. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure you stay tuned for the next stage of the M2 rebuild project, where we'll be putting the engine and the gearbox back in, maybe a few other bits and pieces. Make sure you do check out Gary using the links in the description below. There'll be a website on there as well. And if you have a car, or a boat for that matter, that can benefit from dry ice cleaning, then make sure you hit him up. He's a lovely bloke as well, but he knows his stuff, and wow, it's impressive. It's very, very impressive. Take it easy, and I'll see you at another video very, very soon. Cheers. Also, big thanks to Swift Performance for letting us come down here and film this today. Wow. So, yeah. That's a sight. So Fabian has just lowered the car on the ground for the first time in a long time with the engine in. Yeah, mate, let's go for it. Oh, yes! Woohoo! Russ!